For close to 100 years, if you were young and beautiful and talented, the American dream had a specific shape. You went to Los Angeles, you waited tables, you sent headshots, you hoped, you prayed that someone powerful would notice you, a producer, an agent, a studio executive, and in the darkest iterations, it was someone like Harvey Weinstein, a man with a casting couch and a contract. However it manifested itself, access to this dream depended on someone deciding whether you were worth making famous in the first place. It's no secret. Here's Carrie Fisher, you know her as Princess Leia, telling a joke that is all too real.
I hope I slept with you to get the job, because if not, who the hell was that guy?
But those old ways are dying. The new American dream is stranger, subversive, and depending on your perspective, maybe even more troubling than the old one. In some versions, it looks like this: a 50-foot woman played by a legitimate celebrity depicting an OnlyFans star who is terrorizing an urban area in revealing clothing. I kid you not. This same scene appears in two different hit shows that are airing right now featuring the DIY porn industry. No one exemplifies this new celebrity economy better than Sophia Rain. She grew up on food stamps, joined OnlyFans, and then made $95 million.
I just need to know, how much are you making a month?
I don't know if I,
You don't have to say, just show me.
Yeah.
$4 million?
Not from a long-standing career in Hollywood, not from a record deal or a film franchise. $95 million from her bedroom, talking directly to the people who believed that they could gain a sliver of her personal attention with a donation. There was no power broker deciding that she was worth taking a risk on. It was just her and the audience and a platform that takes 20 cents on the dollar. And yeah, I know we're talking about pornography here, but we're also talking about fame itself, because technological adaptations that happen in that space eventually get adopted everywhere else too. And something strange is happening on OnlyFans. The new dream is so culturally potent that Hollywood has taken notice. This spring, Sydney Sweeney played an OnlyFans star in Euphoria. Elle Fanning plays one in Margot's Got Money Troubles, and in HBO's industry, a young financier named Sweet Pea Golightly runs an OnlyFans-inspired side hustle alongside her corporate finance career. And think about this for a second. These are A-list celebrities paying tribute to a dream that explicitly cuts out the path that propelled their own fame. So what exactly is happening? Traditionally in Hollywood, fame is like a one-way street that moves from the film studio to your screen. But social media has flipped the script. The whole thing, every dollar of it, runs on something fragile and rare. Parasociality, the carefully cultivated and endlessly maintained idea that what is happening between the creator and the subscriber is personal, that she knows you, that she's thinking about you, and that when she sends that message or, picture of her feet or whatever, she means it specifically for you and not the 10,000 other men who also want the same thing. And I know this is the conceit of social media, but now we have a price on that incremental degree of closeness. Now OnlyFans has almost replaced the whole porn industry in the middle of a loneliness epidemic, in a dating recession, in a moment where genuine human connection feels increasingly hard to find. That product, the feeling of being seen, turns out to be worth billions. And maybe this is also where the dream curdles just a little bit, because intimacy, it doesn't scale. It's valuable because it's rare. When a creator gets big enough to earn real money, she can no longer talk to everyone who she believes is worth talking to. So the industry builds this other solution, chatters, professional impersonators to be in her DMs and pretend to be her. And then beyond the chatters, there are whole operations, rooms full of women managed by agencies in Romania and elsewhere, running what can only be described as emotional labor factories. There are e-pimp MLMs. And all of this is selling the feeling that you're interacting with a real woman. And this is all giving way to a whole new intimacy arms race, with AI arriving to finish the argument, threatening to manufacture parasocial intimacy at infinite scale, with no human on the other end at all. And all of this is why I'm having Gracie Cannon on the show today. She has a comedian's eye for all of this, and a creator's firsthand knowledge. She built a six-figure business on OnlyFans, selling what she calls the girlfriend experience. But she's not just an OnlyFans creator, she's also the co-host of the podcast Only Fantasy, a new Audible show from the team behind Fiasco, reporting on the full architecture of this world. The money, the loneliness, the chatters, the believers, and the question the whole thing keeps asking, whether what is being sold here, the connection and the attention and the feeling of being known, is real at all. And all of this portends for everything in the world outside of the stories that we tell ourselves about our screens. Gracie, welcome.
Fire away, Scott. And thank you so much again for having me. This is great.
What was the decision making in your mind to actually join OnlyFans? Like, how did that work for you?
So I had a background of doing this type of work from like 2018 to honestly, I stopped last year, just kind of petered out. I danced at a lap dance club. So it wasn't this entering into that world wasn't this huge mental hurdle for me. But basically, end of 2024, I put a lot of my own money into a project. And I was just looking to kind of rebuild those savings. And obviously, I knew about OnlyFans. I'd considered it before, but I was like, I don't want my stuff out there. And I don't want that to be my brand. And then a fellow comedian of mine was like, oh, yeah, I've been doing it. I made $500 on this 30-second tickling video, And I was like, okay, I'll try it. I'll try it. And then it took off, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like I would literally make money in my sleep. Like I went to bed and I woke up and I had $800 in my account. And I was like, okay. And then the goal was just to do it for a few months low key, which is so funny saying that now. Just to rebuild my savings and stuff. And then so it petered out. And then when I was contacted about co-hosting the podcast, obviously delved back into that world hardcore and it became very fun and gamified and central for me.
Did OnlyFans become like sort of like was it, so it's always portrayed as like a lifeline. Like if you look at these two shows, Margot's Got Money Problems and Euphoria, it's like, oh my God, I'm in a tight spot. I decided to do OnlyFans to get me out of my problem. And then instantly it just blew up. And that's sort of what you just said in a way. So is that dream real or is it not?
I've said this on every interview that I can, which is I would very, very much caution people against having that as the default assumption. It is. I think the only reason it worked for me is because I already had a following. If you have to build a following, I mean, you certainly can if you work very hard, but it's like I think there was something really dangerous about that American dream and the get rich quick overnight scheme being sold to young girls, to people that are 18, 21, 25, who don't know the consequences of this. And I think it's 75% of creators on OnlyFans are making less than $300 a month. And I don't know what people are working into that, but it's like, so it's like, yeah, try it if you're in a tough spot, but it's like, it's, you know, as with anything, when you're in a compromised position too, and you're not familiar with doing this kind of work, you can also get pressured into doing things that you wouldn't normally do or sending people things that you wouldn't normally do. So there's a lot, like I was fortunate enough to have it work out, but I think that's like a huge thing that hopefully has come out now. Hopefully we've gotten over that like 2021, 2022 hump of this will fix all your problems type message.
I wonder, because I think the narrative, the dream as it's presented is very much get rich quick, but you're absolutely right. Like I think it's 80%. Like the mean, I looked this up this morning, is $150 to $300 a month. Most people are making between like $150 to like $300, which is decidedly not that much money. And it's certainly not how it's, how it's presented. And it feels to me that it's a lot like, in a way it's a grind culture, which was, this was owned by Leonid Radvinsky, right? Who's an e-commerce dude who's now dead, but like he made billions of dollars, and he never showed his face other than his LinkedIn profile. Like he was so
Yeah,
private.
very under
So
the radar. We
um,
tried very hard. I mean, he's passed now recently. We tried really hard to get an interview with him. Ultimately, we did not. We tried to interview people initially a little bit who had been involved with the creation and who were still employed at OnlyFans, but ultimately we decided that that wasn't the story we wanted to tell. This was not like a, we work with Jared Leto story. This was about like the users on both sides. So, yeah.
what do you make of that privacy
Mm.
that Radvinsky sort of demanded, right? He was so cryptic and so out of the public eye. At the same time, he's selling the exact opposite, like exposing everything. Like, how do you make of that seeming to me contradiction?
I mean, he's probably just a really private person. Like it's probably just a personal preference. And I also think that developers a lot of the time it's like, yeah, sometimes they're super passionate about the project and the product, but other times they probably just see an opportunity and like as the kids would say, it's not that deep, So I feel like I can only speculate on his attitude towards it. Maybe there was some interest in creating a platform that's so exhibitionist when he's not. But also maybe it's just, hey, I want to make my millions, get in, get out. Um, there were certainly people, Tim, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his last name. Um, his successor. There we go. Art school. I am a journalist. Who was also pretty private, but you could like look up, who was in charge. So maybe it's just then maybe it is the nature of the platform.
He certainly saw, or at least was part of this change where, the where we go from centralization, right, where it's being broadcast to people. And the difference in OnlyFans, which what you alluded, Kate, in your podcast, is that it's really about that parasocial relationship between the creator and the fan. And yet that the tension which you dwell on, like most of the series, is that it is not a thing that scales. Like it is by its nature a relationship with a fan, and like that personal
Mhm.
part of things is a scarce resource. You actually, at the beginning of this podcast, you said that time you can't get back. You were already thinking about time at the when we were first talking. So what can you tell me about the nature of that parasociality, and as you get more popular, which I'm assuming you're getting more popular,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Um, I mean, look, if I was just focused on being an OF creator, I mean, I often do shudder at the idea of how much money I could make if I were doing this for 8 hours a day, every day. Um, but the fact of the matter is, like, I am a creative, and I have to constantly remind myself that OnlyFans is a means to an end. OnlyFans is so that I can pay my rent, so that I can have some breathing room, and largely so I can fund my creative projects. And so, I think, like, I have to be very protective of that energy, as do all creators who are not just selling PPVs, but messaging, creating these relationships with subscribers. But obviously, I'm just one person. I can't get to everyone. So I have to prioritize people who are generous and who are consistent and who are kind. Um, and then if I happen to leave to miss out on some money on the table, then that is the price. You have to prioritize. You can't do anything if it's between, okay, do I do another live tonight, or do I work on this edit for the sketch I'm doing, or do I work on this script, or do I edit these clips? Like sometimes it's going to have to be that so that you remember why you got into it in the first place. Um Yeah, I feel like I don't know if that answered your question.
What I'm interested in is, in your podcast, you talk about the customer who comes in. They want that connection with you personally, right? That
Mhm.
that is the selling point of.
Mhm.
It's not only OnlyFans, it's also YouTube. It's also the people who follow me on
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah, Instagram.
As anyone gets more popular on social media, you find that that is a declining ability for you to give that to people. And there's this question of like, what is authentic on OnlyFans as it scales? So there's like sort of this inherent contradiction in
Yeah.
OnlyFans, and like you talk a little bit about like the sort of the male loneliness epidemic, or
Mhm.
maybe the human loneliness
Yeah.
epidemic, and you're in the beginning you're trying to like answer like, is OnlyFans a service to people,
Mhm.
or these people who need it, or is it not? And like that service is sort of the way that you sort of here's the good part of OnlyFans. We're giving this. It's almost like therapy for people,
Mhm.
right? And yet, weirdly, as you get more successful, the therapeutic value is less.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ways around that are high-end agencies and chatters, right? And that's a decision a creator can make if they want their subscribers to still feel that care in the style and voice that they have, right? You can work with a high-end agency, not one that's, sending out, "Hey baby, you horny?" with devil emojis, but so that really is the only way of scalability, but I think even that, yeah, I think you're right. It's tricky. It's like people subscribe because you are a scarce resource, but people also get upset when they can't get access to you as a resource. Like your scarcity is the thing that makes you special, but it's also the thing that wears you out. So I don't really know what the answer is. I think every creator has to find their own style and what works for them, whether that is working with an agency or having a paid page or, not advertising, whatever that is. Yeah, so it's definitely there's no one size fits all.
What is this world of chatters? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so chatters are, what it sounds like. People essentially ghostwriters for a creator. And they can range anywhere from, unfortunately, people overseas that are paid $3 an hour. They follow scripts provided by the agencies. They are so for some big creators who have thousands, tens of thousands of followers, they are always online 24/7. That green light is always on. So it is very, I mean, it's like a corporate job. You sign in, you have, it's sales essentially. So you get paid an hourly wage, but then you also have a quota to meet, right? You're constantly like pushing that creator's content onto people, and it can also range with the creator. Like there's some creators who won't use chatters at all. There are some creators who literally never log into their OnlyFans. They upload content, they work with the agency, they go take 50% and make me $100,000 a week. And yeah, so I think it is. I I'm not like against chatters as a moral thing, generally, but I do think that they can get really predatory, and that's when it's a problem. Like, I'm not opposed to someone getting care from someone, um, even if it's a little bit of a lie. Like, if they're feeling cared for, then that's fine, but what can happen is if someone asks like, "Hey, is this really Katie?" As you probably heard in, episode 4, "Hey, is this really Katie? How dare you ask? Like, I can't even believe you would ask, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's proof." Um, and it's not these like, quote, "dumb, lonely guys" that fall for this. Like, my co-host, who is a happily married, Harvard graduated, like, slate journalist, um, fell for this when he was exploring the platform at the beginning of this process. So yeah, it's a range like anything else. But the
And
bureaucracy of it is very funny to me.
what do you mean by that?
Just the process, these chatters get onboarded. They sit in front of a presentation deck. Here are the words you can use. Cuck, horny, baby. Here are the words you can't use. Here's what someone does. It's like, imagine a corporate presentation for onboarding with just the filthiest language ever. It's hilarious. It's so absurd to me. Yeah.
Where did you find those scripts? Because you did mention them in your show. Like, where did you come across the Chatter corporate training manual?
We spoke to a chatter overseas who understandably but sadly wanted to remain off the record. Excuse me. Sorry. I haven't slept well the past couple nights. It's nothing to do with you. I Yeah, so we spoke to him and he was just like, I think he might have thought it was an interview, so he was kinda sharing his portfolio and, like, how he works and stuff, and we were just like, "Oh my god, this is gold." Like, this is one of the few times where I wish this was a video podcast. But we figured out a way to auditorily, um, illustrate it, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was fascinating to see that scaling uh, of the industry, and it rides this authenticity question, right? Where we're trying to create, or what OnlyFans is trying to sell is this genuine connection. It's not possible, so you create this other system, and then there's this moral ambiguity with everyone involved. Of course, now I'm assuming this is all going to AI, and all of those chatters are probably
Yeah.
losing out to
Mhm.
Anthropic, right?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a whole other level of disingenuous disingenuous. I can't speak. I don't know words. But it's a whole other level of smoke and mirrors. And funnily enough, we talked to one very successful creator who said, I would never use chatters ever, ever, ever. But if AI could near perfectly mimic my voice and tone, I would use AI. And I thought that was interesting because, and I get it, because if you're talking to a chatter, not only are you not talking to the creator themselves, but you are getting personal and sharing personal information with a complete stranger. At least with AI, which is a phrase I hate to say, at least with AI, no one other than the agency and the creator, like, no one's probably really monitoring you. You're not pouring your heart out to some random dude, because they are usually dudes. So,
Which
yeah,
is amazing. It's such an amazing thing that the woman is the face of this corporate industry, and then you have a bunch of dudes in, like, what, Pakistan or India or
mhm.
Indonesia, some English speaking country abroad that is very cheap, playing to the sexual desires of usually probably American men, but maybe Europeans too.
We had a fascinating, disturbing, hilarious interview with, the manager and owner of an agency out of Bucharest, and the way he explained it, he was just so matter of fact, so cutthroat, and the way he explained it was, well, who knows what men want more than other men? And, when you have no emotional attachment, you sell more aggressively. You don't take insults personally, if it's like the creator who is, or even like a woman. I'm not saying women aren't chatters and they aren't good chatters, but it's like these men don't know the first or second hand pain and discomfort that comes from being spoken to or harassed. by ill-suited subscribers. So it makes sense. They're just like, yep, he's horny. All right, this guy's on a roll. If it's detached in a way that is dystopian and also highly lucrative
For the chatter.
for the agency, not for the chatter. I mean, some of the chatters, again, if it's like a high-end boutique agency with American-based chatters, those are the ones that I really can't see being replaced by AI. I've messed around with AI. It is very dumb. It is like Amelia Bedelia. Really. But yeah, I think obviously domestic higher end chatters get paid more. The ones overseas are paid, as the Romanian guy said in a brag, $3 an hour. So the agency is getting rich.
So this guy in Bucharest, you mentioned
We'll
his
just give him a
name,
name, Bogdan. Bogdan.
Bogdan, right? That's not his
Yeah,
real name. That's a pseudonym, right?
that's his real name.
Okay, so Bogdan in Bucharest runs this essentially like a creator house, right? It's like a OnlyFans warehouse of ladies with various
Mhm.
OnlyFans pages in some sort of like tiered architecture, and it's a surprisingly similar business model as Andrew Tate, right? Where
Oof.
where he there's just this huge New Yorker article. I don't know if you saw it about Andrew Tate's sort of rise in Romania, and he was very arrested for sex trafficking,
Yes.
basically pardoned by Trump, who got him not pardoned, but like taken out of Romanian jurisdiction, and so essentially freed for sex trafficking.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that? And this world of e-pimps, and maybe it's
Yeah.
intersection with the manosphere and incel culture and all that stuff.
Yeah. That was episode 5. We really explore the manosphere and the underbelly. I mean, OnlyFans and managing sex workers and having control over women and women's bodies and women's money is the dream for misogynist assholes. So why wouldn't they capitalize on it? I guess, and this is where I'm going to get non-professional, but it's not enough to just hate women and call them names on Reddit boards and 4chan. It's like they're going to find a way, they hate women, but they find a way to need them. And now that we have AI, they don't even need real women anymore. So, there are, I guess, page owners who are men who are creating AI women completely from scratch, putting them on Fansly because, at least at present, OnlyFans has some pretty strict anti-AI guidelines up. But they'll put these AI things on Fansly and they make tens of thousands of dollars a month per creator. Yeah, but I will say for, the Andrew Tates and the E-pimps of the world, like, I don't have a ton to say other than, like, they're huge dirtbags. And, that's kind of where my insight and my research ends.
Well, they also, there's this parallel sort of almost like an MLM that involves with e-pimp
Yes.
manuals, right? Where, if you're on YouTube, I see this all the time. How to make it rich with AI videos or how to make it rich with AI books. And there's this whole world of like selling to other men how to get rich becoming an e-pimp. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it is this MLM. So right now, the person that we talked to in episode 5, other than Bogdan, his name is Professor EP. That is not his real name. That is an anonymous name, pseudonym. Uh, he now doesn't really make a majority of his income. He makes a majority of his income not on monetizing these AI creators' pages, but by selling a course. So that's exactly what he does. He sells a course to other men, other women as well, according to him, who, yeah, this is how you set up a page. This is how you make the creator. This is how you monetize. So that's a more specific example using AI. But yeah, it also applies to real models. So, one of the people that I'll gladly call out is Owen Lynch and Camila Arujo. They're a couple. She's an OF creator, he's a manager, and it's just these like bros who are driving around in, you know, like Lambos or whatever, and selling that dream and being like, you too can get rich off of like this person. So, and I think that they are, and now she's started doing um courses as well. And I just think that it's incredibly predatory. Especially when you're selling these dreams to young people in a time of like economic ruin.
Yeah. And specifically, they're targeting men to
Yeah.
become these sorts of e-pimps. That's generally the idea.
Yeah.
I wonder, though, is that dream real? Because when we started talking about, we said the
Yeah.
median income is like $300 a month
Yeah.
for those creators. So what? So, and I will say that when I look at these people who sell writing courses, right? Writing courses like, here's how you become a New York Times best-selling writer. And they always have this bullshit thing. And it usually is not about becoming a better writer. It's about how to sell more courses. So it's this like weird pyramid scheme. Uh, is there reality to it in this OnlyFans world, or is it just another piece of smoke and mirrors?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say it mirrors the creator statistics where some men are getting rich off of this. If it's the same thing as winning the lottery. But the odds are the margin is of success is far wider. Um but yeah, they're selling that dream. So I'm sure, it's like for every success story you see, there are 50 um, e-pimps and their model teams that are making nothing. But I think it's that like hope, whatever moral Andrew Tate equivalent there is, or more moral, and the Sophie Rains of the world who are selling hope and like you can do this too. And I'm not saying that people can't do it, but to do it um ethically and in a way that is genuine and true to you and doesn't make you burn out and has a plan is a very hard line to toe.
You have your personally, you have your feet in two different worlds, right? You have this, you're a
And
comedian.
I sell pics of them.
Good. All right. So we have but that's one world, right? That's the OnlyFans foot selling world. But you're
Yeah.
also a comedian and you're a podcaster.
Yeah.
And earlier in this interview, you had said that you do OnlyFans in order to support your creative work, and I think that probably creates a very holistic world that you can live in.
Mhm.
Is the work you do in OnlyFans fulfilling outside of, is it creative? Is it fun? Or is
Yes.
it really just a grind?
I really like it. Like, I genuinely enjoy it. Of course, I think the biggest challenge and the biggest drain is consistency. Like, if I have a busy week, it is very hard for me to get back to my subscribers. I'll run late on customs and this and that. But the people know what they're signing up for. Like, most people have found me through my Instagram. They know that I'm not a full-time creator. They know that I am a comedian and writer and podcaster first. So it's really what it has done is it's created a really great filter for my inner circle on OF, where my VIPs are just like great guys. Truly, like, and I think that's the reason why I've been able to do it this long and this consistently is because I enjoy talking to the people that I regularly talk to. I love getting suggestions from them. I've started doing this thing regularly where I post a morning dance, just as like a free, not even anything sexual, just a free, like, hey, here's a morning dance. Like, let's connect. And what songs are you interested in? And I get like the funniest suggestions. So I worked in corporate for a really long time, and this is 10 times, 100 times more, brings me more fulfillment and joy. And sometimes, like, more than the comedy writing world. Like, I will say if I get approached to do a brand deal or something for Instagram, I'm going to think, well, how long will that would I rather work with this company, this like whatever beauty company, and make this commercial thing, do rounds of edits for X amount of money, or would I rather spend 2 hours talking to my guys who I am interested in anyway? So it's made me very cognizant of like how I spend my time and money and or my time, again, that precious resource. So, yeah.
In Only Fantasy, your podcast, right? You talk a lot about this loneliness epidemic, and I want to dive into
Yeah.
that a little bit more. What is OnlyFans really giving to these people? I mean, you say you have your core group of guys. I believe you had mentioned that one of them had paid you up to $50,000 over the course. I think that was you, right? Or was that
No,
maybe?
that was not me. I wish. That was I believe you're referring to the creator Belle Grace. So yeah, I think she had someone be like it's like $43,000 over the course. My highest one is like 5,000. Like yeah. So, but sorry, the question. I interrupted you.
No, yeah. Thanks for all the names are meshing in
Yeah.
my brain.
I mean, Grace, Belle Grace, very, very easy to mix up.
The What can you tell me about that interaction between you and your fans? Like how real is it? What is it giving them? What is it giving you? And is it
Mhm.
the thesis of your podcast is in a way it's treating a symptom of a larger disease. So what can you tell me about this interaction?
I mean, also, like, I can't say this enough. I can only speak to my own experience. But I will say I think there's a variety of needs that are fulfilled. So I have some subscribers who are going through breakups or family deaths, and really they feel like they can't talk to anyone else. I'm this like the first person that they text in their phone or message. I have, a fair amount of married subscribers, and I will say happily married. They all speak of their partners in very high regards, but this is kind of how they scratch any extramarital itch. Um, and which I don't see an issue with. Maybe I'm not the most moral person, but it's like especially if it's keeping something more sinister at bay. There are some people who follow me from comedy and really just want to support me. Like I have a couple people in there, I've had things on my wish list that I forget about, and I'll get like boxing shoes because I box. I'll get, something for my office. And those aren't very sexy things for, like, an OF creator to have on their wish list. Like, I had acoustic panels for my office, but I think some of my especially top creators really get something out of contributing to that. Um, I mean, obviously, and that's not even in addition to, like, the sexy stuff, but that almost seems like that's such an obvious blanket statement. um or I don't know, it's a lot of work to go out and meet people, right? I think we need to collectively make that effort more so we don't lose touch on top of AI. um but sometimes it's just like a quick chat, a quick like flirt, whatever, to remind people like, oh cool, this is fun, like I still got it, or I learned something. So yeah, it's really a variety, and I think different subscribers need different things, and different subscribers go to different creators for things, and different creators can provide different things. So it's really this kind of like speed dating of what works and what doesn't.
If you look at the OnlyFans YouTube page, which I did for the first time, like
Mhm.
right before this interview, they're
Sure, Scott.
no, really, their YouTube page is not. I don't think it's very risque because what they're doing is they're presenting also skateboarders and weightlifters and other people who are not in the sort of the sex side of things.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you think that OnlyFans can work outside of sex because I look at my work and I have people who want to be close to me too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to sell access to myself, and there would be no like. I don't think anyone wants to see my feet, just to be fairly clear. Um,
Hey, Scott, there is a market for everyone, okay?
but does it work outside of that context, right? Because we're sort of dancing around the sort of sex part of this business. Like, can OnlyFans actually work without the more intimate side of things?
So I will say something. One insight that I have is a huge practical business reason that OF has their OFTV, their safe for work arm, is to keep credit card companies off their backs. So there was something I maybe 2021, I think there was a scare where OnlyFans for like a week was like, "Hey guys, sorry, we're not doing not safe for work content." And everyone freaked out. And it was because credit card companies were being lobbied by, uh, conservative representatives to not support this anymore. And so I think the compromise was, well, what if 10% or 20% is are look at skateboarders or OFTV. It is one thing I find very funny too is it'll be like OFTV will be like, here's a safe for work video. It's just a girl making smoothies, and then you go to the girl making smoothies and it's just like tits out, and it's like here's a girl fixing a car, ass out. And I'm like, hey, you know what, you found a workaround. I really shout out to OFTV. um yeah, but I think there is. I mean, this is a huge shift in the entertainment industry, right? I think we've realized in the past few years that the cavalry is not coming, right? Like there is social media has cracked open and has democratized it and really gotten rid of the gatekeeping, which is great because people can get a lot of visibility, but then they're like, oh crap, I need to make money. So when I think of safe for work monetization and building closer parasocial relationships, I think of more like Patreon. I know that I get hit up for apps by, people who are trying to create uh, platforms exclusively for performers, right? Where they're like, "Hey, we'd love for you to be a part of this platform where people have to pay a subscription or people have to pay to unlock your stuff." And that so I do think I don't know if that safe for work uh the ability to monetize safe for work content is going to live and thrive on OF because it already carries such a brand. But I do see people figuring out individual ways to monetize that, and I think it's a really good thing.
All right. So when I got into this, I was watching Euphoria. I was watching Margot Got Money Trouble, and
Mhm.
the theme is like I couldn't wrap my mind around this 50-foot woman thing. Right? We have because Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was what in the I think it was in the 60s. Right, this black and white film of a woman in a bikini who I don't know, I don't actually know the plot, but she walks around, she's really big, and then we
I
have
think
two
that's the
scenes,
plot. I think you got it, Scott. Nailed it.
right? And
Yeah.
then we see it twice in these more recent things. What
Mhm.
do you make of? I don't know if you've seen the shows, but what do you make of those scenes?
Well, first off, as a writer, I can see why the showrunners of both of those series would gravitate towards any kind of content that has a character or a gimmick or something. So I think probably it makes sense that they landed on, everyone knows about feet fetish. That's not interesting anymore. But then you dive deeper and you're like, oh my God, there's this thing, there's that thing. So yeah, I do find it fascinating. I do think so there is we all know what MILFs are, right? and we spoke to a few MILFs on this episode, on this podcast. And that fits in the same category of giantess for me because it's about men being dominated and or taken care of. And it is a lot of pressure in the society we live in. I think men are in a tough spot right now because they are expected, and I'm not saying this as like boo-hoo, feel bad for them. Like they are in a hole, but they are also holding the shovel, right? So, but they're in this tough spot right now where it's like you have to women are your equal, right? Women will make more money than their counterparts often these days, but you still have to pick up the tab. You still have to make the decisions. You still can't cry in front of people because it's a turnoff. And so when you have this MILF or this giant woman or something, there's this release like, oh my God, I am completely over. I don't have to do a thing, like I am just, it's goddess worship too. So, those kind of like goddess tell me to do this, the next level of the giantess thing is goddess worship, like tell me I'm a worm, this and that. So it's like, I think it's there. I would guess, I can't see into a man's mind, thank God. But I think there is something really liberating maybe about having no responsibilities. I mean, it's the same thing why I will hint to it. It's like I am more sexually submissive. And I realize it's because in my day-to-day, I am in charge of everything and sometimes other people. And when you escape to that sexual place, you're like, someone take the reins, someone take over. Also, who doesn't want to see Sydney Sweeney's boobs at 150 times their scale? I'll tell you who does, Sam Levinson. Okay. Okay.
I
Thank God
thought it
that
was
show is over, you creep.
I thought it was hilarious. I mean, actually, I really didn't like Sydney Sweeney at all until that scene. I was like, oh my God, this
Oh,
is brilliant.
interesting. Yeah.
I find her, there's nothing about her that I find sexy or like, something that I want to be part of in any way. But then I saw this and she was making fun of herself in a way. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
actually brilliant. And it actually turned my feelings around about her as an actress because she seems very self-conscious and referential
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah. I am excited, in this tangent. I don't have much of an opinion about her, but I'm like, it would be cool to see her graduate or transition out of the sex symbol thing and be like, okay, you have a funny personality, you this, you that. But honestly, ride that sex symbol wave while it pays the bills, everyone get your bag.
Where do you see this all being in like 5 years?
Well, I see us all completely exploded, Scott. So it's a great time. It's a great time to take risks. Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't see it going anywhere. Um, I think there was this message for a little bit that it's all saturated. OnlyFans is so saturated. Comedy is so saturated. But, this is where I get corny. Everyone is their own little special snowflake. And so it's the same reason why it's like, yeah, there are a shit ton of people around you, but there's a reason you have your best friends or your partner. It's as long as there are new people and new types of connection that people can discover and be drawn to. Um, I don't see this industry going anywhere, nor the idea of like building parasocial relationships. Um, yeah, I mean, the only way I would see it really taking a hit is if these this uh God help me, law litigation lit-
I'm not aware of it.
Bills are passed. Well, I feel like I'm playing a game of Taboo.
Well, there's like a child porn protection bill sort of.
Yeah, but I'm trying legislation. There we go, Scott. Oh, talking to a professional journalist with an extensive Wikipedia page. I think as long as that legislation is trying to be pushed, so things like the sin tax they're pushing for in Florida, which basically just taxes OF creators or any digital sex workers more because the work is immoral. So, or the credit cards companies being pressured by lobbyists, right? There's this huge push still by conservative representatives who, by the way, are on my OnlyFans page, but that's what they think they need to do. So, but I will say, in the words of our dear friend Bogdan, unless there are bullets flying by your head, people jerk off, is what he says in a very, unless there are people will always
monetize. I'm trying to avoid.
I
wanted to make money on the internet, but here you
and it's like, it's true. I think people will. OnlyFans in 2021 said we're not doing porn anymore, and everyone was like, no, and they reversed that decision in a week. So I think that's a very good example. Or, if it did shut down tomorrow, I would still have people that I could take with me, and it would just take me a second to, go on some other platform. But yeah, I don't think the human compulsion to foster these relationships is going anywhere.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been really interesting. And
thank you so much. Your questions were great. I hope that I address them. I feel like I am so used to just, crazy comedian tangent episodes, but I hope that,
Well, if anyone wants to find out more, your podcast is Only Fantasy. You have a Instagram page, and I presume there's an OnlyFans.
Yes, I will not announce it. You kind of have to. It's very easy to find me, I will say. You can go on something like OnlyFinders, I think OnlyFind. I can't put it in any of my bios because I will be flagged, but you can follow me on all platforms on Save Gracie Keenan. It would be very helpful if you wanted to follow me on my new YouTube page. I'll be posting more stand-up comedy. I also just released a web series, or I'm releasing a vertical series on Instagram and YouTube called Bunkered Down, about a sitcom about two people at the end of the world. So we got a lot coming up. We got a lot of,
a lot of ins and outs and what have yous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And from everyone here, like, subscribe, go check out that YouTube profile, put links down in the description. And from Foxtopus Inc. in Denver, Colorado, this was Scott Carney Investigates.